Hello learners, welcome to this agriculture lesson. The topic is still farm power and machinery. I am Mr.Timon, Athoo. In our previous lesson, we were able to look at the final drive as part of the transmission system and how power eventually reaches the wheels so that the wheels can move on. We also learned how to increase traction by either adding some special weights or by ballasting the tires and so many other methods. In this lesson, we are going to look at how to attach various farm implements onto the tractor. Methods of attachment, tractor attachment methods. How to attach various farm implements onto the tractor. And our objectives, one will be to state the methods of attachment of farm implements to the tractors, and then two, for each of the method of attachment we are going to give examples of implements that are involved, that are attached in that particular way. So how are implements attached to the tractor? There are three attachment methods. One, there's what we call one-point hitch attachment, one-point hitch attachment, or can call it drawbar attachment because they will be attached to the drawbar of a tractor. Two, there's what we call three-point hitch attachment. Three-point hitch attachment. There will be 3 points to which the implement will be attached to the tractor. 3 points on the tractor to which the implement will be attached. And then finally we'll be talking about the PTO attachment. Power take-off attachment. So this is a type of attachment whereby the implement is attached to the power take-off shaft, which revolves or rotates at a relatively high speed. So starting with the first one, the one-point hitch attachment. And as I said earlier, this is basically the drawbar attachment. In other words, the implement is attached to the tractor at the drawbar, at only one point, at only one part, 1 point. So that's why it's called one-point hitch attachment. And it is a common method of attachment for trailed implements, those implements that are trailed or pulled by the tractor. Like we talk about the trailers for transportation of goods to the farm or from the farm, and other wheeled implements, implements that have got wheels that are supposed to be pulled along. So one-point hitch attachment is for trailed implements, those that are pulled along. So if you look at this photo of a tractor displayed here, at this point, which we have labeled as C, this point is the drawbar, the point which we are calling the one-point hitch attachment. It's the one that's providing a surface for attachment of the implement to the tractor. And this end here, you look at it keenly, it looks like this. So that the implement also comes with provisions that will fit along with it, and then they are fastened, they are connected to each other, they are fastened using this system of bolts and nuts. So that's a one-point hitch attachment and is fastened using bolts and nuts. We also call it a hitch pin. So the implements that are attached using this method, the one-point hitch attachment, are the trailers for transportation of goods on the farm. So this is a trailer. As we learned in the other lesson, it has more wheels. That means improved traction. So a trailer is attached to the one-point hitch attachment space. Then, okay, this was another trailer. The trailers come in different designs, different sizes, but the important thing is that it comes with a provision, this end here, which is attached to the tractor drawbar, which we are calling the one-point hitch attachment. So whichever the design, whichever the size, it's attached to the one-point linkage or the drawbar. Then other than trailers, the other implements that are attached to the one-point hitch attachment method are the trail planters, Like this one here is a trailed planter, so that the seeds are within these hoppers. Some of them come with fertilizer hoppers also attached. So it has a wheel, so it's pulled along, it's trailed along. And this end here, this is the part to which it's attached to the tractor. So this provision is where it enters the hitch pin of the tractor, and it is fastened using bolts and nuts. So a planter is one such implement. Then we also have trailed disc harrows, trailed because they have wheels. So when they are pulled along, especially before they reach the farm, they are made to move on the wheels. So it has a provision, this trailed disc harrow has a provision where it will be attached to the draw bar. The method of attachment is 1-point hitch attachment. The second method of attachment, we call it the 3-point hitch attachment. And in the 3-point hitch attachment, we are going to be keen on the 3 linkages. The 3 linkages, there is a top linkage. If you can see this rod here, is a top linkage, which can also call it the top link. We've labeled it here as A. Then we have these 2 side lower linkages. The lower linkages, which to which the cross shafts of the implements will be fitted, so that the 2 lower linkages together with the top linkage form the 3-point hitch attachment. The 3-point hitch attachment is mainly for attaching implements that will require raising and lowering, like the plows, the harrows. The plows are used for plowing, the harrows for harrowing, the ridgers for ridging, the mowers for cutting lawns or grass and other vegetation, subsoilers for subsoiling, the rotavators, the sprayers. These are implements that require raising and lowering, because like when you are negotiating a corner or when you are moving on a tarmac road, you will not wish that the plow parts damage the surface on which they are moving, so you will raise them, and when you reach the farm you will lower them. So when the implements require raising and lowering, they are attached to the 3-point hitch attachment. And even all the PTO attachments, the implements that require attachment to the PTO shaft, they must also be attached to the 3-point linkages. So the 3 points, as we already saw in the previous clip, we have the top linkage and then the 2 lower linkages to which the cross shafts of the implements will fit. The diagrammatic representation, we can see the top linkage, the upper link. So there is a portion of the implement that will be attached to that point, and then we have the 2 lower linkages to which again the cross shaft, as I've already said, the cross shaft of the implement are fixed. We've already seen this clip, the top linkage is here and then the 2 lower linkages. In this clip you're only able to see the 2 lower linkages, the one on the left and the other one on the right. And then the third method of attachment of the implements is what we call PTO attachment, power take-off attachment. Implements that require rotary motion, that rotation must be attached to this power take-off shaft, this stub here that rotates at a very high speed. We talk about around 540 to 1000 RPM, or that is about 9 to 16 times per second. That's very high speed, and therefore whenever you are handling the tractor around this point when it is in motion, you must be very careful so that it doesn't cause injuries. So implements that require rotary motion, like the rotavators when paddling rice farms or mixing up soil thoroughly, the planters, the mowers, the sprayers, there are so many implements that require rotary motion. They must be attached to the PTO shaft, so we call it PTO attachment. And remember, as we said earlier, all implements that are attached to the PTO must also be attached to the 3-point linkages. So the PTO shaft is found usually behind the tractor, the one I've circled there with the yellow, though it's appearing in red. It's a rod, it's a stab that rotates at very high speed. Let's not forget the green painted lower linkages. So the PTO shaft is our concern at this point, and I've also here circled it in yellow, though it's not very visible. But my point here was to emphasize that the PTO shaft is protected. That stab is protected using this master shield, yeah, because of the hazard that it has. It's dangerous, so it must be protected, especially on those 3 sides. So implements are attached to the PTO. Of course, they must be protected. So the IID, the implement input drive line, is inside this casing here, again to protect it, or this guard to protect it. Yeah, so that this implement, painted blue here, is attached to the PTO stab or shaft through this shaft, and the shaft is inside the shaft guard, which is painted yellow here, and it can be either metallic or plastic. This is a clearer picture of the same. The PTO stab or shaft is inside there, it's protected by this master shield, and then we have the IID shaft guard, yeah, which is plastic, as I said, or it can also be metallic, so that the PTO is the implement is attached to the PTO through that, so that it rotates as the PTO shaft rotates. It transmits that rotary motion to the implement, which requires it, and that is basically the PTO attachment. That brings us to the end of this lesson on the methods of tractor attachment or implement attachment to the tractor. Thank you very much. See you next time.